So how many of you are cross already and the show hasn't even started? Are we cross? A lot of you are like, man, there's no way. The Bible clearly tells us that God wants us to be hot or cold. And if we're not, he's going to spit us out of his mouth, which is a really gross metaphor when you think about it. Jeff has finally flipped his lid. Well, let's see, ladies and gentlemen, if Jeff has finally flipped his lid. Let's take a look at what's going on with this scripture and with this concept. I know I come to you out of the scriptures a lot, but I'm coming to you with concepts, ladies and gentlemen, concepts. And they just happen to come from the scriptures because it's the defining document of Western civilization. And we deal with what we deal with. And I do believe the New Testament remains one of the great sources of revelation for those that are seeking spiritual enlightenment. Maybe the best. I don't know. Nag Hammadi's really, really good. There's some good information out there. But I think you throw away. Hello, Mystery. I understand we might see you in Arizona. Is that true, or is that just a nasty rumor that I've heard? And I just completely lost my train of thought, but that's okay. Let's say hello to some people. G Maniac. That's an interesting one. Olga, Wendy, Paul, the ever-present and ever-amazing Tracy Dyer, Wendy, anti-popular girl, always popular in the NCK chat room, however. Wendy, Nora, Diana, Christina, good to see you, and thank you. Nancy, Ashell Lady Hawk Smith, Spencer, Jama, Love Matters, always here. Nick, VJB, 1976. I think the creator of that classic bungee jumping Jesus meme. She's the one I got it from. I don't know if she created it. Great, great stuff. Nora, Jules, Kathleen, and boy, there's a lot of people here. It just jumped on me. Let me get back, try to give everybody a shout out. Ellen, Mystery, we already mentioned. David, Francis, Spencer, Danielle, Ferris. Is it Ferris's day off? Boom. I know you get that all the time. It's not even funny anymore, but I couldn't stop myself, Ferris. And I think this Ferris is not a Ferris Bueller, but this Ferris is a lovely young lady. So I take it back. But it was funny anyway. How's your finger? Oh, yeah. How is the thumb, Tracy? I know that you sliced that thing to the bone almost. Warrior Princess, Nick, VJB, Preshni, so nice to see you. Glenn, my finger's doing well. Great. Technically, I don't think your thumb's a finger, is it? Or is it I don't know. But anyway, Lonnie, Starry Hannah, Marcia, Lori, Nick, Tracy Roberts. We have multiple Tracys in the chat room. Randall, I love it. Love it. Can't have too many Tracys. Paul Hall. Straight out of the field into the gathering. I like it. Lonnie Leonard. Paul Hall and Lonnie Leonard. Kathleen Sharp, Janet Schertzer, Glenn McLean, John Angle, Lori Elderkin. And I could sit here all day long and read these. John, another John, plenty of Johns. Crystal Keith is tipping her hat to me. I don't have one, but I'll tip it to you if I do. So I know this is going to blow some minds. Rebecca Rich, a lot of alliteration going on in here today. If you don't know what alliteration is, look it up. I have to tell you now because it'll disrupt your ability to understand. Alliteration means like using the same letter in a sequence of words, like Rooney's resting relaxingly on Rooney rest. And that's a bad one. I'm not that good with R's, but same letter starting your sentence, and the same letter of the starting of the words in the sentence. I'll get it out. It doesn't matter. But the reason I say that, I have to clear that word, because if I say alliteration, you don't know what that is, then your ability to comprehend anything I say after that can be reduced by up to 60%. So if you don't understand a word when you're reading something or listening to something, stop, and go and look the word up, because if you don't, it will cause your comprehension to reduce by at least or up to 60%. Glenn Glue's Glorious Glitter is a glorious example of alliteration. Thank you, Glenn McLean. Glenn McLean Glue's Glorious Glitter. Bam. Best Buy's Big Bust. There's another good one. I knew some people would come in and help me out. Alliteration. There you go. So the more I get into the scriptures, the more I begin to understand them, even after, started studying the Bible probably in 19. Rooney is again demonstrating proof positive that the world is not flat. The earth is not flat, because if it were, cats would have pushed everything off of it by now. Do you really got to do that, bro? Really? Anyway, now it's going to bug me because it's laying on the floor. Shite, shower, shave, and shampoo. Big black baby buggy bumpers. Okay, I think we got the point, ladies and gentlemen. But started studying the Bible probably in 1975, 85, 95, 05, 2005, 2015. Holy crap. That's a long time. 85, 95, 05, 50. That's over 40 years. Prior preparation prevents poor performance. Yes, absolutely. And yet I still see things that I've never seen before. I still learn things that I've never learned before. And that's why I continue to say, ladies and gentlemen, that we need to continue to study the scriptures. And guess what? They are screwing with us. They're messing with us. They're telling us stuff that's not true, ladies and gentlemen, and they're doing it on purpose, and they're trying to trip us up. This is a classic example. I want to show it to you, and I think I just got a download. I'm going to have to start going through these so-called church ages, because there's supposedly 7 church ages, and this one that we're looking at in Revelation chapter 3 is supposedly the church age of the Laodiceans. It's supposedly the church age that we're in. I don't know. It's called dispensationalism. I tend to think it's not right, but there's some things to learn about it because it is such a ubiquitous teaching within Christianity. So to the Laodiceans, this is being written. And it's being written by a being that says, I'm the faithful and true witness. I'm the beginning of the creation of God. And by the arrogance and the ego of that statement, and by the words that are stated, I'm going to say, and I'm going to bet that you guys will believe that and will understand that this is Marduk, Yahweh, Jehovah, the rat bastard, who I officially refer to him as the rat bastard, stating these words. And you know these words. If you've even been anywhere around a church, you know these words. I know your works. You're neither cold nor hot. I would thou wert cold or hot, as we read the King James, bless God. So then, because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. So the very clear inference here is that the writer or the dictator or the inspirer of these words wants people in the Laodicean church age at the end of time, if that's right, doesn't matter if it is right, that is the implication that's being presented within the text. He wants us to be either hot or cold. And because we're lukewarm, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but this Mac cannot connect to the iCloud because of a problem. No good deed goes unpunished. You try to be a nice guy. You try to make things okay. And now your Apple ID is a wreck. If you just would have been selfish and mean and said, take care of your own problems, you wouldn't have this problem. But anyway, we didn't say that. I didn't say that. I just thought it in my head. Okay, so folks, to the angel of the church of Laodiceans writes, these things say the amen, the faithful and true witness beginning the creation of God. I think it's the rat bastard. And he says, I know your works. And let me just throw this in. This just came to me. He knows our works. What does that mean? That means he knows your works. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good. So be good for goodness sake. And he's making a list. He's checking it twice. He's going to find out who's naughty and nice. I'm just wondering if those concepts and those ideas might be connected, but I'm just a conspiracy theorist, and who knows what I think. But he does know your works. Somehow he's watching you. He's got his eye on you, which is really creepy when you think about it. Think about all the activities you do during the day. Think about all the activities you do during the day. And now think about God watching you while you do all of them, or angels watching you while you do all of them. What have you done today that you would prefer not to be observed while doing? I'm just asking the question. And is it conducive to a fear and guilt control matrix to have you believe that there's celestial beings that care enough, that are voyeuristic enough to say, I know your works. I'm watching you. And then he goes on and says, you're neither cold nor hot. You're neither cold nor hot. And I wish that you were cold or hot. And because you're only lukewarm, because you're not hot and cold, because you're not hot or cold, because you're lukewarm, I'm going to spit you out of my mouth. So the very clear implication is he doesn't want you lukewarm. He wants you hot. He wants you cold, either or. So let's take a look real quickly at what hot and cold are and what lukewarm is. And then we'll examine what type of a being would be motivated to want people hot. What type of a being would be motivated to want people cold? What type of a being would say, I really wish that you were cold or hot? And what kind of a being would not want you to be lukewarm, and in fact would be so upset with you if you were lukewarm that he would kill you? And that's actually what the original language says. Yes, I did a little bit of pre-study on this one. Usually it's get an idea, do a show. But not today, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not trying to say I never study, because enough of you say that about me anyway. So I don't have to say it about myself. So let's look at this in the Greek language. And we're going to start looking at verse number 15. We're going to go up here. If you want to see what the scriptures originally say, you go to BibleHub.com. I don't get paid for this. And in fact, if they ever find out I'm using it, they're liable to shut me down. BibleHub.com. Put in your scripture. I want Revelation 3. I'm in Revelation chapter 3. I want to look at the original Greek rendering of verse 15, and I want to see it literally translated into English so I know that nobody's messing with it, and I can just read it the way it's stated. So I click on 3:1, and I don't want 3:1. I want 3:15. So you can either go down here and go to 3:15, or you could do it the long way, 3:2, 3:3. But, and I tell you that because sometimes this one won't work or that one won't work. So it's good for you to know both ways. But the easiest way is go up here to 3:15. Boom. Here we are. So I know your works. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. And if you don't believe me, he knows what you're working on. He knows how you're tasking yourself. He knows what your employment is. He knows what your deeds are. He knows what your actions are. He knows what you've been doing. He knows what you've been accomplishing. He even knows what you've been intending or purposing, because you make it known to everybody. And there might be a lesson there too. Do we really need to let our intentions be known to everybody all the time? Somebody write that on the whiteboard. intentions. Yeah, interesting. So he knows what you're doing, and he may even know what you're thinking if you let him know what you're thinking. Maybe you shouldn't, but anyway, he knows your works. And remember who he's speaking to. He's speaking to the last church age, the Laodiceans. What does that word Laodicea, Laodicean mean? Let's go to that just for shucks and grins. What does Laodicea mean? To the messenger of the church in Sardis. Oh, shoot. Sorry, I got distracted, but I think this might be interesting to see. What does Laodicea mean? Verse 14. What does Laodicea mean? It's supposed to be the end of the church age. It's supposed to be us. What does Laodicea mean? And it's only one verse back. We're not in a hurry, right? 3:14. So to the church, the messenger of the church in Laodicea. Of course, Laodicea is a name of a city. Laodicea, a city in Lycos Valley in the Roman province of Asia, near Colossae of the Colossians and Hierapolis. But look at this. It's from Laos and Dike. So what does this mean? Laos means, oh, how about this? It means the chosen people. A people, the people. It means the people of God. Boy, isn't that interesting? So for the people of God, and DK probably means city. Nope. Right, justice, classical Greek, a legal decision. Wow, now that's interesting. So Laodicea means, what does it mean? Laos. God's chosen people. Ah, this begins to interest me. Anthony Hopkins, Silence of the Lambs. This pilgrim begins to interest me. He does. This does. So we're talking about the justification of the people of God, the justification of the true people of the Christ. Even though they call it Laodiceans, they're talking about the justification of the true people of Christ. That's what the word means. You just saw it. The justification of the true people of Christ. That's what Laodicean means. And even if they are making up dispensationalism, and even if they are saying we're the Laodicean age and we're not, somebody is telling us that this is what he wants to do to help prevent the justification of the true people of the Christ. And check this out, and this angel, let's go to angel, because you won't believe me if I don't tell you, it's messenger. It's not really an angel, it's a messenger. And to the messenger, oh, look at that. Messenger. That's a little weird. And unto the messenger, either human or celestial, and unto the messenger that's trying to deceive or prevent the manifestation, the justification of the people of God. There's a messenger, there's an angelo that's trying to prevent the manifestation of the complete justification of the people of God. Wow. That's pretty interesting stuff. So maybe this is about us, cousins. And maybe there is a messenger, an angelo, a being trying to keep us from hearing this message. Or maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist, but you're not cold. You're not cold-hearted. You're not cool. You're not cold. What's the word mean? Sukos. It means you're not cold. You're not cold, and I don't like, you're not cold, he says. Okay. and you're not hot. Boiling hot, fervent. So if you notice, these are relating to your heart. You're not cold-hearted. And, am I going the wrong way? No. You're not cold-hearted, and you're not hot-headed. You're not cold-hearted, and you're not hot-headed. But I wish you were cold-hearted. I wish you were hot-headed. Now, I have to ask you something, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, there's some stuff blowing up in my head that I can't talk about. But it's some big-time confirmation. What type of a deity would want someone to be cold-hearted? What type of a deity would send a messenger to perpetrate a plan to make a person cold-hearted? Indifferent, unfeeling, blasé. What kind of an entity would want a person to be hot-headed, out of control, emotional outbursts? What type of a being would say, I'd rather you be cold-hearted or hot-headed? Does that sound like to you a God of love? Does that sound like to you a divine being of balance? Does that sound to you like a God of order? For we know from other scriptures that the true divine is not the author of confusion. Cousin, that's the definition of confusion. I want you either cold-hearted or I want you hot-headed. Why? Let's think about it. Oh, we're going to knock something else off now, are we? Really? Yeah, and don't look at me like you don't know what I'm talking about. He's like, who, me? Yeah, I see what you're doing. Inching it closer and closer to the edge so you can push it off and look like, oh my, it fell. Yeah, who saw that coming? The first shall be last, the last shall be first. So let's start with hot-headed first. What type of a being would want someone that's hot-headed? Well, I would think that an entity would want someone to be hot-headed because when a person is hot-headed, they're exploding with rage and anger. They're out of control. And remember, we learned last week that strong emotions can create charms that will land on and take hold of people. So if you're trying to get a person to produce charms that are detrimental for people, you want a hot-headed person. If you want a person that you can control, you want a person that's out of control. So if I'm an evil entity trying to control people, I want them hot-headed, cousin. Because if they're hot-headed, number one, they're not in control of their own emotions. The reason they're out of control is because they're not in control. The reason they're out of control is because they're not in control. And if they're not in control, that means nobody's driving the bus, and either I can drive it or I can send somebody else in to drive it. Either way, I'm driving, or somebody that I tell where to go, what to do is driving. Either way, I win. If I was an evil entity, that's what I'd do. I want you to be hot-headed because you're out of control, and I'll be glad to supply the control you're lacking. And the beauty of it is you get out of control, I move in, you calm down, you still think you're in control, but cousin, I'm still driving the bus. It's a beautiful plan. Oh, and remember the Angelos? Remember the messengers? Get somebody out of control, send in your messenger, boom, they're there, and they don't even know it. That's why I want you hot-headed, because you're out of control, and I can control you. And the more of you I can control, the more in control I am. Okay, so why would you want somebody to be cold-hearted? Because if they're cold-hearted, they don't care. If they're cold-hearted, they're not going to do anything. They're just going to go along with the program. If they're cold-hearted and you tell them to give 10%, they'll give their 10%. If they're cold-hearted and you tell them to give 50 or 100 in offering a week, they'll give 50 or 100 in offering a week. If they're cold-hearted and you tell them to come 3 times a week, they'll come 3 times a week. They'll just sit there. They'll just do what they're told. Cold-hearted, empty-hearted. You can count on them. They're going to be there. They're not going anywhere. They're not doing nothing. They're not causing any problems. They're just showing up every week. I remember this. I pastored 2 churches. One was in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and the other one was in Albany, Oregon. And the one in Albany, Oregon had these light-colored pews. And there were these dark brown butt prints, literally, where the same people had been sitting in the same spot in the same pew for so. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Like, oh my, it fell. That's 2. They'd been sitting on the same spot in the same pew for so long, there was literally a brown butt mark on those pews. That's cold-hearted. They just sit and sit and sit and sit. And guess what? If they're cold-hearted, they're easily manipulated as well. And they're always going to be paying. They're always going to be staying. You can count on them. You don't have to worry about them. So that's why if I'm an evil entity, I want a bunch of those people because I know they're going to pay. I know they're never going to play. I know they're always going to stay. And then I can get the hotheads and manipulate them and work them to actually get some stuff done while the cold hearts are still paying the bills. It's beautiful. It's perfect. It's a great way to run a soul farm. Trust me, I know. It works like a charm. Works like a charm. How does a charm work? Hothead, boop, energy, charm. Sometimes it's better to be anointed than good, right? That's really interesting. So he'd rather have you cold or hot. He'd rather have you cold or hot. Because if you're cold, you're manipulatable. If you're hot, you're manipulatable. But the problem here is, ladies and gentlemen, you're lukewarm. You're not hot. You're not cold. You're lukewarm. You're not hot and you're not cold. And for this entity, that's a problem. What do you think lukewarm means? I got my eye on you. What do you think lukewarm means? It means tepid, which means between. Let's see if they give it. Where did I had to look that up. Oh, it's in the middle of hot and cold. It's in the middle of hot and cold. It's in the middle of hot and cold. Did I say that enough times? It's warm. So where does cold become hot? Where does hot become cold? What is it? What are you when you're lukewarm? You're in the middle. What are you when you're lukewarm? You're not on either extreme. What are you when you're lukewarm? You're not cold-hearted and you're not hot-headed. What are you when you're lukewarm? Are you not balanced? Are you not picking a side? And let me think of something here. There's something in the Bible somewhere about a straight and narrow path that very few walk on, that many go to the right, many go to the left, many go to being cold-hearted, hot, cold, many go to being hot, many go to being cold, but how many are right down the middle in the straight and narrow path, the middle way? Something to ponder. And what kind of a deity would want you not to be balanced? What type of a deity would want you to be unbalanced? What type of a deity would not want you to, what type of a deity would want you to pick a side and be upset if you didn't pick a side? What type of a deity would want to keep you off the straight and narrow path that is the middle way? I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's not the one that talked about the straight and narrow way. And I'm pretty sure that if there's a deity in the New Testament that says there's a way, there's a truth that leads to life and life more abundantly, I'm guessing that it's not the hot path. I'm guessing it's not the cold path. I'm guessing it's that middle path of balance. So if you're lukewarm, you're not cold-hearted. So you can't be depended on to just stay and pay. And if you're lukewarm, you're not hot-headed. So you are not going to produce charms. And you're not going to be able to be easily manipulated. Because you're not going to be out of control. You're going to be in control. Ooh. So if I'm cold-hearted, I can be controlled because I don't care. If I'm hot-headed, I can be controlled because I'm out of control. But if I'm lukewarm, if I'm balanced, if I'm in the middle, I'm divine, I'm sovereign, I'm free. I'm in control of my mind, my faculties, my will, my emotions, my body. I'm in control. Now, what type of a divinity or deity wouldn't want you to be in control? You have to answer that for yourselves, cousins. But this deity in Revelation chapter 3 wants to prevent the justified, manifested people of God from being balanced, because when they are there outside of, and here we go for number 3, ladies and gentlemen, and beyond his control. There's a lesson in that. And because you won't be cold-hearted or hot-headed, he says that he wants to spit, which means vomit, wants to vomit you. Once he's repulsed by you, he utterly rejects you. He desires total separation from you, and he rejects you with extreme disgust. What type of a deity rejects a person with extreme disgust because they won't be cold-hearted or hot-headed? What type of a deity is repulsed, shows utter rejection, desires total separation, and has extreme disgust for a person that will not submit themselves to his control? What kind of a deity is that? Well, it's a Revelation chapter 3 kind of deity, and you get to decide whether you want to deal with that type of a deity or not. But wait, there's more, because I will spit you out of my mouth. I will speak against you. I will curse you. And look what else. I'll put you to the point of a sword. Maybe just with my words, I'm trying to kill you. But if it's a deity and a deity wants to kill you with his words, shows you what kind of deity he is, doesn't he? And it's up to you whether you want to be involved with that type of a deity. But it sort of bothers me, ladies and gentlemen, that they're teaching us this stuff. Oh, you can't be lukewarm. You can't be balanced. The worst thing you can be is balanced. If you're balanced, the God of the Bible hates you. He wants you cold-hearted or hot-headed. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but just break it down to the simple. Break it down to the simple. Break it down to the ludicrous. Break it down to the ludicrous. Do you want a boyfriend, girlfriend, wife fiance that's cold-hearted? Do you want one that's hot-headed? Or do you want one that's balanced? Well, if on the spiritual, if on the regular physical realms, we're smart enough to know we don't want cold-hearted, we're smart enough to know we don't want hot-headed, why are we going to pick a God that manifests those attributes? Doesn't make a bit of sense, ladies and gentlemen. This is complete 100% opposite game trying to deceive us. He wants us cold-hearted. He wants us hot-headed. But the truth is in the balance. The truth is in the middle path. The truth is in the narrow way. The truth is in not picking a side. And there are messengers out there that are trying to get you to screw it up. It's just that simple, and I know everything's going to be okay because VJB 1976 agrees with me. So let's back this up, and sounds like Kronos. If you think Jeff's the man, hit the like. Thank you, Lois. The first murderer was Yahweh. That's what Jesus said. This deity is not like Goldilocks. Nope. Oh, yeah, the true God loves, not this God. Pearls, Darty. Thank you, Triona Ryan, my Irish sister from another mister. And somewhere back along the line, we're related, I'll bet. The gray area, energy vampire. What do you think of the book of Enoch? You probably don't want to know because I think it's a forgery. I am bipolar. Gold, Margaret. Solid gold. I am bipolar. That's what he was really trying to say. Oh, that was good stuff. That's good stuff. Makes me think borderline personality disorder. Absolutely, Michelle. Oh, my. You can't come into my chat room and mess with me. Bye-bye. Well, bye. Let's say the earth is a triangle and just love one another. How do I change from lukewarm to passionate? Why would you want to? I think that maybe you should listen again from the beginning. In lukewarm, you can wash up and get clean. Oh, that's a really good point. Super hot burns you, right? Cold won't clean you, but lukewarm is just about right. Oh, that's where the Goldilocks thing came in. This one's too cold. This one's too hot. This one's just right. I get it now. It takes me a little bit. Tracy, round can still be flat. How did we get into the flat earth thing? How did we get into that? And how come we didn't nip that in the bud? That's okay. I'll never be cold. I'm learning to control my hot. That's okay. Works like a charm. Boom. That is profound, isn't it, Chase? I love matters. Spartan Michelle. Just looking for profundities. Just looking for profundities. It's like leaving your house door wide open. Yep. Get that count up. Thank you. That's just their game. It is. Me, I need excitement. Ooh, Crystal Keith. Rethink that, sweetheart. That's why Derek says stay in the middle, neither left or right. Man, that might be one of the reasons. Oh, here, Tracy Dyer just hit it. And I was going to say this, and I forgot to say it. Tracy Dyer says the reason why the rat bastard Yahweh wants us, plastic Jesus wants us hot or cold, hot-headed or cold-hearted, is because he wants us in his image, because that's what he is. Tracy Dyer wins the quote, the Comment of the Day award. Maybe he's schizophrenic. You think? Rooney is the funniest. And you spelled Rooney right, Chase. Way to go. I'm not amused by you, but they are. As he bends his ear at me. It doesn't sound like God. It sounds like the enemy. Exactly right. Hello, Paul from Newcastle. Somebody said it sounds like their husband. Ay, ay, ay. I'm on a dodahedron. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's fairly profound. That is fairly profound. I think that's something that will change your life because, and I'm going to do another follow-up on this about people that are hot or cold. What they'll do, and if you find yourself, I'm looking at the whiteboard, and if you find yourself doing these things, you know that you're hot or cold, you know that you're not balanced, and the results of being this kind of person and the results of hanging out with this kind of people, we've got to maybe, you know what this is? This just hit me. This is the come out from among them and be ye separate. We need to get away from the hot heads and we need to get away from the cold hearts, and we need to be a separate people. It sounds like we need to unindoctrinate ourselves. And if you think I'm wrong and if you think I'm full of it, keep on doing what you're doing, and you'll keep on getting what you've always got. And may I just ask you, how's that working for you? If it's less than satisfactory, you might want to unindoctrinate yourself. You might want to create yourself. You might want to do the inside job and create a life that you'll love. But that's none of my business. We are the last generation of real humans. Let's stop being hot. Let's stop being cold. Let's go for the straight and narrow path. Let's go for the middle way. Let's be passersby. Let's not pick a side. And let's get busy.